baby.
We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we been.
Y'all better get comfortable with saying black.
We in here, yeah, we in here.
Black versus the Board of Education.
'Cause we came here, rid of us now. We in here, yeah, we in here. 'Cause we came here, rid of us now. And you know that we don't ever go, so you do what you want.
That's why we are indeed a whole mood.
That's it.
All right. Happy Monday. It is October 20th, and we are Black versus the Board of Education. Hello. My name is Miss Laureen, and I am the captain of the ship. And as usual, we got a good one for you. If you have children who are struggling with reading, like we know that there's some issues in Sacramento County with our reading levels and the way that they're performing on tests. If you are a parent and you are concerned about reading, this is an episode for you. This is Read, Reflect, and Rise, a chat with Carylee Carrington. And before we bring her up, you know, I always love for you to know who's in the building. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our ladies first. That's right. Miss Anaya and Miss Melissa are in the building. Let's go ahead and pull them up. They can start with their introductions, and I'll start with Anaya because she was here first. Start with your introductions, and then we'll bring it back into the studio, and then we'll get it popping with our special guests.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Anaya, and I'm currently attending Howard University.
Perfect. Miss Melissa, hey girl, hey.
Hi everyone, my name is Melissa, and I'm currently attending UC Berkeley.
And welcome to the party, ladies, because we absolutely have a lot to talk about. But before we do that, we're going to pass it to the gentlemen who are in studio with yours truly. Let's go ahead and start with this gentleman that's sitting right next to me.
How you doing, everybody? Mr. Fox.
Mr. Fox is here, and right next to Mr. Fox in the cool Raider hat.
In the cool Raider hat. It's Mr. Chastain.
Mr. Chastain's in the building. Hey. And then rounding us out today,
Mr. James, happy to be here.
Mr. James. Now, you guys, I spent the weekend at CABSE. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. That is the California Black School Educators Conference in Carlsbad. And I learned so much, and I picked up a couple of books, and I was just so excited that we are going to be talking to yet another author. If we can pull up our special guest, I am told this is Read with Carylee, but she is going to tell us who she is and tell us something about her, because we're going to get to know her and get to know what it is that she's bringing to the table, because we know that we have a lot of things going on in our community, and we're all about solutions. So welcome to Black versus the Board of Education.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
So now, where are you calling in from?
I am actually in Northern Virginia, right outside the madness in DC.
Hey, we was in DC a couple of weeks ago. I saw no madness, but I had a great time with all the peak Black festivities during the the Congressional Black Caucuses week in DC. So welcome. And I'm hearing that you're talking about you describe yourself as an accidental author. Talk to us about that. What is that all about?
Well, that is how I came about. You know, I had no inkling that I would be getting into children's literature and, you know, even writing books. My background is in marketing. I, you know, kind of had a slight background in journalism as well. And, you know, my son, who was 5 years old at the time, came home and told me that a classmate told him that he should only be playing with children of the same skin color. So I had to try to find something. My mother was in education. My mother was a lifelong educator. She was a literacy coach. So I was just like, you know, I need to find books to be able to teach him the ways that, you know, he should be thinking, instead of saying, okay, you should only be playing with children of the same skin color. I wanted to find books on his level, and I couldn't find that. So my mother, actually, who had been pushing me to write like most of my life, she said, well, if you can't find it, write it. So that's how I accidentally landed in children's literature. But I really have been writing since the age of 9, writing poetries and plays and things like that. definitely a surprise to me. And 4 books later, and now taking on this mantle of diversity in children's literature, it's become more than a passion. It's become my mission.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that. You said say that one quote again. If you can't find it, write it. What did you
If
say?
you can't find it, write it.
I love that. Miss Melissa, I'm gonna kick it over to you.
Is there a particular moment when you realize that this is my calling? I know you said some parts of your background align with being a writer and author and some don't. So do you feel like there was one particular moment when you realized that this is what you're supposed to be doing?
Well, I would say it was a bit of things, but I had just said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna tap my toe in writing a book, and then the second book came around, and I was like, okay, all right, maybe this is something. But definitely with the passing of my mother passed of metastatic breast cancer early in 2020, like right around the time that the pandemic was happening. So, with her passing and knowing that I wanted to bring her legacy forward, and also with the pandemic and children not being able to have access to books, libraries were closed, schools were closed. I was seeing how it was affecting my children, and I was, able to connect with authors, and, a lot of people were having the same sentiment, but nobody knew where to go and nobody knew what to do. So the ideas came to me, and I said, you know what? I am from a family of faith as well. My mother was also a minister. So we have that servant's heart. And if there's something that is burdening my heart, if there's something that's coming to me that I feel that I need to do, that is something that I feel that is a mission from God. And I would say that this, aside from motherhood, this is the one thing that I have been able to stick to and has grown basically over 8 years now.
Fox.
I'm listening to your story, and as Miss Lorene said, she went out and she met you and she passed some information on to us. And me knowing this little bit of information about you, knowing you growing up in Jamaica, then New York, and then Virginia, these are 3 different places where 3 different Black communities live. Yes. So in the form of being diverse with your literature, but still speaking our struggle and still reaching up, how did you write something that was for us, but it also has to be unbiased, because again, these 3 different classes of Blacks that you have been able to incorporate within yourself in a loving way, but still be able to tell their stories and say, hey, this is me, this is us, this is.
Yeah. And that is all a part of my platform. One of the things that I am advocating for, especially with the diversity in children's literature, I advocate for authors being able to tell authentic stories. So I am not going to, I have just, I would say, a small breath of what my experience or my children's experience that I can give to the literacy community right now. One of the things that I have found, especially since I became a part of the children's literature genre, is that, now we're getting up to about 13% of children's books that actually feature diverse characters. Of that 13%, only about 30% are actually written by people who understand, or, basically by us. Yeah. So I advocate for that, that authenticity. So if there's a author of a Caucasian background, I would not expect them to be writing my story. All of my stories that I have written, you see Maya Singh's Country Here, Pretty Here. These are things that actually I have some connection to. And, I felt it authentically coming from me. the song in Maya Sings Country is "I'm Black and I'm Country." So that is one thing. I'm like, hey, Kelly Clarkson couldn't write that song, or if she was writing that song, she wouldn't be singing that song. So I want to make sure that if you're gonna be writing for us or writing for another part of diversity, you need to know the nuances. There's one author that I have been, we've been in contact with, and she was actually on the podcast that my podcast that I was doing, and her book is Caleb Has Something to Say, and her son was nonverbal, and I couldn't write that book because I don't have that experience. Right. So I don't want people going and, we have situations right now where people are going and speaking on things that they have no connection to and they have no authority to. So they give misinformation and build stereotypes. And that's what I advocate for, that I don't want other authors to do, because that gets back to our children and that hurts our children.
Hurts our culture. I appreciate you.
Miss Anaya.
So you mentioned a little bit of inspiration for the couple of books you have behind you, but I also wanted to ask, do you have any personal anecdotes from either your childhood or from your adult life that kind of shapes the way that you write children's literature today?
Oh, yes. Of course, there are some instances, and like even in Maya Sings Country, there is a music teacher in the book, and that music teacher is my mother. And, there are things that she has said or things that I know that she would say, and little anecdotes that come from our culture. In my latest book, I have it right here, You Name It, Graham Made It. There are little anecdotes as, there's a scene where the family is coming in to see the rest of the family that has been gathered there for Thanksgiving, and they're doing daps and things like that. And I explained that. I explained exactly what daps are for the people who may not be a part of the culture that's reading the book. And, the little nuances that you would find with a Black family coming together, or honestly, any family rather, but just especially with the way that I write, I want to make sure that children actually see themselves represented. So they can say, oh yeah, that's how, we come together at my Nana's house or something like that. The experience needs to be documented. Because, there are some experiences that have been documented and there are some experiences that have been changed. And I want to make sure that children really feel seen in these books that I write.
Mr. Chastain.
Hi, how you doing? It's good to see you. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So how do you define diverse literature, and how important is it to be implemented or utilized in the school system?
Yeah, right now, diversity is kind of a bad word, but I came out and I said that is my platform, and even when this administration is taken over and they've taken diversity, like if you have diversity, I have friends that work in the federal government, and if you have diversity in your title, you are no longer there. And I was kind of trying to see, okay, am I going to stick with diversity? There are some people that have changed from diversity to impact. And I said, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that, because diversity isn't a bad word. And diversity is all of us. I'm like, diversity is Black, white, Asian, whatever. It's all of us. We all have a different type of way that we communicate, the way that we live, our culture, our background. Everybody is different. I'm like, even, Black people in Virginia are different from Black people in LA and New
Uh-huh.
York. And it's different. We are diverse.
Right.
We are not a monolith.
Facts.
So, everyone that's going and saying, oh, diversity is bad. Well, guess what, boo-boo? You diverse too.
Like it.
James.
That's very interesting. Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. What was that saying that you said in the beginning? If you can't find it, write it. Was it that?
Yes.
Was so I really resonate with that so much because for me, I'm an avid journalist and I like to journal a lot.
Mhm.
And it helps me get a lot of things out like from my mind to on paper. And I wanted to ask you when it comes down to writing these books, right? What does your creative writing process look like? Like, how do you develop like your characters, like themes, structure? Because for me, my free writing is unstructured, but sometimes I have like notes here and stuff like that. But when it comes to like designing a story, what does that look like for you? And do you go about it in the different ways, different books that you write? Tell me about like what's your creative writing process?
Well, I will say it's all over the place. It's really all over the place. I don't have one specific style. I'm trying to, especially now that I'm on book number 4 is out, book number 5 is coming, and I'm trying to get that cadence. But for me, and it's the authenticity about it. My first book, the first book that I wrote, I got the vision of the book in the middle of the night and I couldn't go back to bed. So I grabbed my phone and I wrote it all in one night. Pretty Hair, it started out as being something else. And then, when I actually finished that first book and had that published, Pretty Hair came out like about it. Well, I had to redo it and just reimagine it. And that came out about a year later. So that there's not, and even with my latest book, You Name It, Graham Made It, I was inspired by the Shirley Caesar meme. And I said, I wanted to write another Thanksgiving song because,
Right.
I have had my 2 books, Everyone Just Like Me and Maya Sings Country, that I surprisingly wrote a song for. So I said, let me start with writing the song. And I wrote the song and then the story came. And it was just like, okay, I wrote the song and then everything just flowed from there.
Right.
So I have often told people, just always have something with you that you can write.
Mhm.
Like if I'm not on my phone, if I may grab a book or something to be able to write down my ideas.
Mhm.
And maybe those ideas don't, come to fruition as a book right away. I'm like, I have probably about 3 or 4 more books that's sitting and waiting to be finished right now. I have a series that that I've told my sons for the past 3 years, yes, we're going to write a series together. And half of those stories are still in my computer somewhere.
Mhm.
So, I just say, write from the heart. And when it's time, the right book will come out.
So you mentioned, and before I start talking, you are listening to Read, Reflect, and Rise, a chat with Carylee Carrington. This is Black versus the Board of Education, and I'm just going to jump right back into it. So you talked about how the importance of students having access to diverse literature.
Yes.
But then when we look at kind of like the test scores, right? The reading test scores and such, it says significant achievement gaps exist between different student groups, with only 25% of Black/African-American students, 11% of English learners, and 16% of students with disabilities reading at grade level.
Mhm.
That sounds like a huge crisis, because it is, right?
Absolutely.
And so do you believe that if students had access to more diverse literature, they would find more of, an affinity for reading these books that they are seen in?
Yes, ma'am. And, I have seen it in my own children. My youngest son, he loves books. He absolutely loves books. When I used to pick him up from preschool, if I came during story time, he would look at me, roll his eyes,
Uh-oh.
and then look back at his teacher. And I would have to wait until story time was done. Yet, my son ended up having a reading IEP.
Oh.
And I was just like, okay.
Now, before you go past that, because there's some parents who are going to pop in and they're going to listen to this. So your son who loved to read,
yes,
would get mad during story time if you interrupted, ended up having to have a reading IEP. Why?
Yes.
Why? Yes.
Because the books that were in front of him were not books that he was interested in.
Talk to him. Come on.
When it came to because he would love a story time, but when it came to actually reading it himself, he was not getting any interest in it. And I will tell you, so he is now in the 6th grade, and he is actually ahead for his age, because of course my mother's a teacher and he was born at the end of the year, but she's like, no, you're not gonna hold my baby back. So
is he a December baby?
Yes, he's a December baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So he was like, we pushed him ahead, and he's great in everything else, but it was that connection with reading that was not happening. And this past spring, I introduced him to more diverse books that were on his on the grade level of reading that he should be reading. And I could not get him to stop reading. Okay.
And what book was it?
The first one of the first book that I actually remembered, if he, I know he has it in his room, but it was from an
that's
author.
Okay if you don't remember, because I remember being excited about books. And fun fact, I used to steal books because I couldn't consume enough literature, and my mama didn't have a whole lot of money. Don't nobody tell her that. But I used to steal books. I was huge into like the Babysitters Club or the what's that the one Beverly Hills Teens or something crazy, Sweet Valley High, I think it was.
I was
the Ramona books. I mean, although I didn't see myself in those books, those books kept feeding my curiosity. And so I used to steal books. Like,
and there was a part of it that you connected to because they were girls. It's a part of it that you connected to because they were girls. And the thing was with my son, so the book that I like, a friend of mine who is an author as well, she gave me, like, we did a book swap, and her book was The Tooth Fairy, and it had a black tooth fairy on the cover.
Huh? It was a man?
Yeah, a male black tooth fairy on the cover. Like, and he was a teenager. So he was a teenager, and it was the first chapter book that he saw that he related to, and he would not put that book down until he finished it. And then he read it again, and then he read it again. And I was just like, okay, all right, so I need to get you more books. And over the summer, my eldest, who he's good, but to get him to actually read a book on his level, sometimes it's like pulling teeth. And I gave him, can't remember the name of the book right now, but I gave.
All right. When we switch to somebody in here, put your microphone on mute and yell down the hallway, because we want to know what the book was.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely will. But I gave him the book, and it was another black. It's right there. It was another black author, and it was about another black child. The book was 400 and something pages. The boy finished it in about 3 days.
Wow.
And that was unheard of. And then I did a trick that my mother used to do, which I thought, okay, he would be no, I'm not doing it. I asked him to write a book report. He wrote a 5-page book report that I have right now on his own. And I'll tell you honestly, he wrote the 5 pages and then something happened to the computer and he lost 2. And he was so upset. He was just like, no, I'm going to go and finish writing it. But that is because he saw a book with a character that looked like him. It was Tristan Strong.
Tristan
Strong. And he went to the library and he found there were 2 other books in the series, and he found those and he got those and he read those as well. So it's just like if you give them books where they can see themselves, because that's what they go to. Like they go to the library now and they go and find those books. You know, they go and find the Kwame Alexander books and the Jerry Craft books. And those are the books that ignited the love of reading for them, even though their mama's an author. They're like, okay, yeah, we read those books on that grade level, but we need more. And I was able to give them more and show them more. And people don't understand how important that is, especially for boys and Black boys as well.
Miss Melissa.
Miss Lorene, I was also the student who was stealing books because I loved them so much.
See, I knew we were kindred spirits. Yes.
Yeah, yes. I always needed to read something. And I was finishing books so fast, and it got so bad that like I have a bookshelf that was in my room that collapsed because I had so many books. And so my mom ended up buying me a Kindle so I could get the books electronically because it got so bad. So I can relate. Seeing yourself in literature is so impactful and can definitely change the way that students and children overall see themselves. I remember the series that I loved, that the first series I started reading was Liberty Porter. And it was a Black girl who was the president's daughter. And that was the first series that I read, and it was absolutely amazing. That was the first book I read, a chapter book that I read and actually annotated. And when my mom bought me highlighters and pens to annotate a book of the things that I liked, I have not stopped, and my books are not legible anymore. But my question is, speaking about your son and the impact that you have seen on certain books that reflect him, what other impact have you seen, or at least hope to see, on other children when they're engaging with books that reflect their diverse identities as well?
And Melissa's mom is in the chat, and she said there's no lies told. You would sleep with the Kindle under your pillow. And
it got so bad she took it from me because I wasn't sleeping so I could finish my book.
Oh
my goodness.
Yes. So, the impact that I want for especially children of color is for them to see themselves and for them to have joy. Like there's been so many books that have been written about our struggle that, sometimes we forget that, or we don't understand, or our children don't understand that there are other things that happen in our lives. I remember, when I was in the first season of doing my podcast and my show, I had an author who lives locally here in Virginia as well. She's a very good friend of mine. She read her book, and it was Meet Kalia, and it was based on her daughter, and it was just about their family. They were just a simple Black family. They, the dad is an entrepreneur. Her mom, the author, is a stay-at-home mom, and she had her, Kalia had a dog, and she had her brother, and it was so profound to me. And I was just like, why is this so profound to me? But I'm just like, I've never before that time seen a book that depicted just a normal Black family just having normal interaction that you would see with some of these other books that have Caucasian characters.
Mm.
And I was just like, for a couple years, I was so taken aback. And I'm just like, I need to understand for myself, why is it that I'm so enamored with this book? And that was why. And that's, like I said, in my latest book, You Name It, Graham Made It. It's just about a Black family coming together for Thanksgiving. We all do these things, but it's never depicted. Our struggle is depicted, slavery is depicted, civil rights is depicted, but having that joy, we hear Black boy joy and Black girl joy, Black girl magic. And it's family joy. We rarely see that.
I like that you say that. Listen to what Melissa was saying, listen to what you were saying, and then Melissa's response to it and about you guys stealing the books made me think of it made me think of
I buy them now though, sir.
Because and you yourself as well, Chastain, and you as you was talking about your journalism, what I was thinking of was, as a kid, some of the things that I had to get done in order for me to take in what I was supposed to be taking in, food wise, but educational wise. When you make the book look like somebody they do want to read it a little bit more. And it made me think of it because of my nephew. My sister always tells me something, he don't want to eat this, he don't want to eat that. And I always was just putting just a little bit of syrup in his a little bit of syrup on a plate up under the little cereal and under the little hot dog. And she comes, well, it's good, it's good. He found a little bit of his identity in that little
in
syrup. He know he like that syrup, and he know no matter what's on that plate, it's gonna be. If his uncle right there, it's okay. It's a little bit of that syrup up in there. I know he there, so that's there. So when you look on a book and you look at something, you see your people there. You like, if they there, I'm there. There's something in there that might be for me or that my uncle left behind. But as I think of that, I also think of knowing a little bit more about you. You built Read with Caroline Incorporated.
Carylee.
Don't
be giving her a new name.
Listen,
we don't do that here.
I have a name that people look at and have to ask me, hey, how you pronounce? Hey. So I don't be trying to butcher nobody's name. So my apologies, and I make sure I always extend that forward if a name does get butchered. However, you built Read with
Carylee
Incorporated.
Yes.
How did you move from author to organized founder? What were your biggest challenges?
Ooh. My biggest challenges sometimes are authors. I was able to, and I say, just like I said before, I believe that this is a God-given space that I have been able to come into, and it was the right time, and because honestly, I created Read with Carylee right before the pandemic. Did not know that the pandemic was going to happen. Did not know that our children would need books. And now coming into this platform of diversity, did not know that these book bans would be happening and that we would have an administration that's trying to take away our history and trying to erase things that we need for our children. So, like I said, I have, the background in marketing. I had the background in journalism. And of course, I'm a writer. So coming into this, even trying to help other authors to be able to get their books out. There are authors that I know that, okay, they wrote one book way before I did, and they're still on one book because they didn't really see the impact of their work. And I've been able to kind of pull them out and say, okay, hey, come, let's try to do something. I have the children's author directory that I'm working on, because of course I'm a self-published author. There's so many self-published authors out there, and a lot of people, they depend on Amazon to be able to publish their book. And that's not always the best venue. And then, with being a self-published author, there are some authors that just do not know what to do after they have written the manuscript, found the illustrator, got the book published. Okay, I got the book published. It's on Amazon. Your family, some families may support, some friends may support, but even with me, I see that most of my support comes from the outside. I have family members who have not even tried to get one of my books, and they will cheer me on in the background and say, "Oh yeah, we know you can do it." But getting your books out, I'm in marketing. I know how to think outside of the box, and as crazy as I may be sometimes, hey, I still, even though you can't really see it, I still have my tutu. I am the tutu queen. I've built a brand around myself as well. So I think it's all divine timing. I, definitely subscribe to the fact that there are divine downloads that God's given me now, that I'm just like, okay, all right, why didn't you give that to me years ago? But it's all in the right timing. And sometimes we go to the door and we stop ourselves.
Yeah.
And even it's with our community, with other authors, with other parents. Sometimes if you don't see it, you don't get around it. But like they said, if you build it, they will come. I'm trying to build something here, and I'm trying to get us all together and trying to let people know that diversity matters. Children's books matter, because I know, there was a time probably about 10 years ago that everybody was all in the self-help books. And a lot of people, they rely on schools to be able to give the books that we feel that our children should read. But I'm like, how many parents actually now, especially now, get to go into their child's classroom?
Oh, without the school even letting them know first and all that. You gotta gain their call in.
You do have to. You got to give them 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours notice that you're going to come.
Yeah. And even I'm like, children, I know, especially with my children, they don't get textbooks anymore. So I don't, unless I really go and research and get their curriculum and everything like that, I have no clue what my children are reading in school, because there's nothing.
Let's put that red flag. That's a red flag right there. And thank you for bringing that up, because again, when we're talking about kids, first of all, we're talking about representation. We already know that the teaching force is 84% not us. And then we're looking to those same type of folks to put in diverse reading selections. And that's not happening. Like, let's keep it a buck. Miss Anaya, it's on you, because I could keep talking.
So I see the extra mile you take to get involved in your kids' lives, and as well as in their academic future, right? So what role do you think that students and schools need to play that comes into like diverse literature and just being more involved in their students or their child's life, specifically on the parent standpoint?
With the parents, you need to go out there and do the research. You need to go out there and, if you even have to, and I have had some parents do it with me. They pay my fee to go into their child's school.
Really? Tell me about that.
Yes. And what else do you do while you're there? What are you allowed to ask or look at, or what are you allowed to do once you're on those school grounds?
Well, when I'm on the school grounds, it's like they don't. Most don't restrict me. I did come across, one school that, with my latest book, You Name It, Graham Made It, they pray, at Thanksgiving, which most of us do. And
Someone
Just talk.
Someone-
This
someone
is Black
took
versus the
umbrage.
board.
Yeah, someone took umbrage to it, and they had to go to the librarian who knew me, and she was just like, "No, that's okay. She's good. She's legit. We're okay with her." And they allowed me to read the book, but there have been parents that have paid my fee because, of course, some of the schools, they would rather put the money elsewhere, or they're not able to get the funding. So they paid for me to be able to be there. And then also
Are
bought
you there
books.
reading your book?
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
You're going there to read the book.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
for an author visit, yes. So yeah,
Gotcha.
for an author visit. So they have bought books to have distributed to their children's school because they know of the lack of diversity in of books in these schools. So parents have to get involved. I have been, like, I do vendor events almost every weekend. I have seen where children will be pulling their parents to come to the reading booth. And then there are parents that say, no, we have other things that that I want to buy. Like, the kids are not getting these diverse books in schools.
Mhm.
And most of even if they say it's diverse, because it has a child of color on the cover, that does not mean that it is a diverse book.
Right.
And that does not mean that it's written by a diverse author.
Mhm.
So
Sensitive.
it's all of that
Okay.
parents need to be abreast of. When I had my show, I asked many times, I asked authors, Black authors, what was your favorite book growing up that that you felt connected with? A lot of Black authors said A Snowy Day. A Snowy Day is written by Ezra Jack Keats. And hey, I have no problem with him. He's a Jewish man from Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. And I love the fact that he actually intentionally put a Black character on the cover and in the book. But in reading the book, there is nothing that shows any kind of culture. It could have been a brown, yellow, green, red, whatever child.
It's funny you said that, because I noticed that when I asked some brothers the same question, they told me Huckleberry Finn. And when I actually read the book myself and heard it went along with some of his dialogue, I was like, "Nah, I kind of want to fight this dude."
Exactly.
I don't like none of what he's talking about. Oh, Huckleberry Finn. But I have what motivates you on days when you feel
It
tired
wasn't
and
your-
discouraged?
It wasn't your turn.
Oh, okay. Go.
We got to do this teaching in the order.
Okay.
But I understand. Do you want to answer that? What motivates
Yes.
you? And then we'll go to
I
the
will
suggestions.
answer that. What motivates me is really knowing that there is just so much work out there to do. And even knowing that, like I said, I've built a brand for myself, the Tutu Queen. There, I will be like either dog sick or just not even in the mood. Once I put on a tutu, I'm good to go.
Tutu. Okay. Mr. Chesney.
So I want to go back to the school aspect when you were talking about that. How do you handle or deal with the resistance that you get from the schools? How do you actually handle that? I mean, you're trying to get the information in. You have parents that are paying for your fees and stuff like that, and there's still the aspect of rejection, right? So how do you deal with the resistance of publishing such a diverse components of how different your different books? How do you deal with that?
Well, I just have to keep going. And not to like call them out. I live in Prince William County, Virginia, and I have been in more schools outside of Prince William County than I have been in schools in Prince William County. There are, and it differs because, each school has their own budget and things. And sometimes I can get introduced on the county level, but it's each school and each principal or librarian that would be able to find me and try to get me in. So I just keep on going. And if I don't get into a school in Prince William County, there's Fairfax County. I've gone all the way. I actually just booked a school for the second time. They are bringing me back for my new book in Prince George's County, Maryland. So I travel. I get where I can go. Earlier this year, I was even flown out to San Jose and did an author visit through PayPal. So there are companies that I work with, there are parents that I'll work with. Any way that they can get me there, I'll do it, and I just keep on going and keep on trying to push for diversity. And there are people that will get it, and then there are people that don't. There are people that just, I have kind of a clip series going right now, really talking about diversity in children's literature. And one of the clips I said, people just think of diversity as skin color. And diversity is everything that we deal with. Me wearing glasses, that's a diversity aspect. We're all just looking at this screen right now, we are all different. So, for me being able to really push this platform, I am just thankful that I've been given this task and this ability to be able to do it. And, I get in where I fit in.
I feel it. Mr. James.
Thank you.
So I have one question. It's actually a fun question. Would you ever write books that are outside of children's books? Yes.
Yes. I actually do have a novel that I've been working on for some years. Whenever I get inspiration, I do go back to it. But yeah, I do see I do see myself trying to grow, because right now I'm just doing picture books, and I started doing picture books when my eldest son was 5 and my youngest son was 3. And now they have graduated to chapter books, and they don't read my books anymore.
Oh, Lord. Oh, no.
So hopefully I'll be able to catch up with them.
You can do it. You can.
Nice.
If you're just joining us, you are in the middle of our discussion. Read, Reflect, and Rise, a chat with Carylee Carrington. And you guys, team, we are at the rapid fire round. So I need y'all to look up. You got about, 20, 30 seconds to put your question out there. We want to get around to everybody, and then I will close us out. So Mr. Fox, I'm going to start with you. We're going to go to Melissa, Chastain, Anaya, James. Got it? Got it. Mr. Fox.
You live an active lifestyle. Within trying to go to schools and school boards and writing your own books and maintaining your own memoirs. How do you do that and raise 2 boys? How do you balance your life as an author, an entrepreneur work with motherhood and self-care as well?
Self-care, what's that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You know what? I get asked this all the time. It's nothing but God. It's nothing but grace, because I honestly, especially that part about raising 2 boys, I have a teenager right now that's pray for him.
Bless him.
Right?
I know that laugh.
Exactly. So it's just really trying to maintaining that focus, maintaining my faith. And, sometimes I just need to just close my door and blast the music and just be at peace. Other times it's trying to work out. That's the self-care, trying to work out and really, just get in my element and get that old that bad TV that that they say you're not supposed to be watching. I'm like, I love a good housewife show. That's my cheat.
Miss Melissa.
How do you approach the balance between fun story and an important message in a children's book? I feel like it's a very interesting balance that you have to have there to make sure that it's effective, but also not going to scare the kids away from reading it. So how do you do that?
Yeah, and that's a balance that I have to walk all the time. Especially with my first book, Everyone Just Like Me. Like I said, it was inspired by the question that my son came and said to me, like, why can't everyone be the same? Because of the question that he was asked, or what he was told by his classmate, that he should only be playing with children of the same skin color. So he was 5. I didn't want to delve into race. I didn't, think that he was ready to handle that, especially growing up in Northern Virginia. I grew up in, Jamaica and in Brooklyn. So that wasn't even a question for me. So I use glasses to be able to broach the topic, and it's actually been able to help other adults. It was actually on the reading list for Old Dominion University to help aspiring teachers be able to use that book to talk about social issues with their students. So being able to write a book that is an icebreaker that will help to get on deeper topics, I think that's one of the things that all of my books really have an aspect of. So it's finding that balance. And my kids are my editors sometimes. If I feel that it's getting too heavy, or if they will tell me if it's getting too heavy, especially now at this age, they will tell me if it's too heavy for a children's book.
Yes.
Mr. Chester.
Oh, my turn. Great. So as a author of an unpublished, unillustrated children's book series, what direction would you give an author in order to get their book published and out to the world?
Okay, well, definitely do your research. There are companies that can help you. I am someone that, I tell authors all the time, reach out to me if you have a couple questions. I have no problem trying to help another author because I didn't have that help when I started. So, and it's important for me for people to get their story out, because you never know what story might help a child. So that's the most important thing for me. And I have no problem being able to help other authors to be able to get their stories out. But it's really trying to do that research for yourself and just continue to push it. Because if you have a story that is sitting on a shelf, it's not going to help anybody sitting on the shelf.
Right.
Miss Anaya.
Okay, so I kind of have 2 questions. So how are you able to identify the difference between diversity and true inclusion in other books that you have read? And also, if you could invite one historical figure, alive or not, to have a story time with children, who would you invite and why?
Oh my gosh, that last one is hard. Let me think on that. Yeah. I'm sorry. Could you repeat the first question again? I just lost it.
Yes. You had mentioned like other books may have put just someone who is Black on the cover. So how are you able to identify the difference between diversity and true inclusion in those books?
Well, definitely, reading, and formulating the character. If in true inclusion is really getting the basis of the character in there. If you have a Black girl on the cover and you are describing nothing about her, especially as the main character, there needs to be some body in there, you know, like, okay, just saying, oh, okay, she wears a nice white dress and, you know, describing everything on the outside of her, but not giving her any personality. That is something that I look for. And also, you know, making sure that there is some aspect of, well, and also, just really reading the story, seeing if it's, you know, kind of authentic to the character. And I do research and see if the author is, especially if it's a topic of color, or I do research and try to find out who the author is. And that was one of the aspects of my show. And, you know, just kind of even putting on, Reading Rainbow. I grew up with Reading Rainbow. The only thing that disappointed me with Reading Rainbow was the people that were reading the books weren't the authors. So with my show, what I really wanted to do was have the authors come on and read their books, because I wanted children and the parents to get to know the authors as well, to judge for themselves on the books. And who would I would say, oh my gosh, it's probably three. So I gotta put three. It would definitely be Oprah, Maya Angelou, and oh, yes, I have to pick Barack Obama even over Michelle.
Oh, wow. Mr. James.
So I have one last question, totally off subject. Are you a morning person or are you a night owl when it comes to influence, when it comes to creating your creative work? What type of person are you?
I am, I would say I'm a water person. So it doesn't matter morning or night. If I am near a body of water, that seems to inspire me. Or, you know, washing dishes in the shower, water, it sparks my creativity.
Okay. Thank you.
What food gives you joy? What food or treat gives you instant joy, sis? Like, we need to know. Spill the tea.
Did you not hear where I'm from? Jamaican food.
Okay, Jamaican food.
Jamaican food, and I am a sucker for pistachio gelato.
Oh,
Yeah.
pistachio gelato. All right, so everybody's been listening to you talk about these books. Now, I need you to do a quick plug. Where can we best support your work? Talk to us, because I'm over here on Amazon looking up these titles as we speak. So tell me, where's the best place that we could go to support your work and support everything that you are intending to do with Read with Carylee?
Yes. Well, you can definitely go to my website, readwithcarylee.org. That is the best place to purchase my books.
Okay, well, let me get off Amazon.
Yeah, get off Amazon. They don't pay authors enough. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you told me.
It automatically goes on Amazon through my distributor, but go to readwithcarylee.org. That is the only place that you'll be able to get your book signed and shipped to you. And you can go to all of my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Read with Carylee. Anything that I'm going to be coming on is going to be Read with Carylee. Thank God, you know, my mother gave me a unique name.
I love it. I love it. And just for my teammates that are still here, Mr. Fox and Mr. Chastain had to step out. But can you remember the first book that you read that really grabbed your attention? The very first book that you read that grabbed your attention? Okay, I see some people are thinking Melissa seems to have a answer right now because she used to steal books like me. So, Melissa, what you got?
I mentioned it earlier, but it was a series called Liberty Porter, First Daughter, and she was the president. It was like it's set in Washington D.C. and she was the president's daughter, and they were a Black family, and it was a series, and that was like the first book that I really, really, really loved.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now. James, what you got?
I would say this is not a Black book. I would say Series of
I
Fortune.
didn't say Black book. I just said what book stuck out for
Right. I was just coming off of what Melissa was saying. I'll say series of unfortunate events. You know, I always like gravitated towards that. I love enjoy reading it just because I have 2 other siblings.
you.
So and we all are talented. So just seeing that and reading that, it really it shines something. It shines something within me. So
Okay, and it was the series of unfortunate events.
yes.
Okay,
What else?
Anaya, what do you got?
Honestly, the first thing that came to mind, I used to collect these books as well. It was just the series Dork Diaries. I think that was very prominent in my childhood and
Duck
very
Diaries.
popular series. Yeah.
Duck Diaries. I've never
No,
heard of
Dork.
Dork.
Sorry, like DORK.
Diaries.
Okay.
Oh, is that like a preteen type book?
I would say so.
Okay. All right. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this book, and I did not know that it was not a Black author because as we were talking to Miss Carylee, I decided to pull it up, right? But I read this book when I was in elementary school. It's called A Girl Called Boy. Her initials spelled out boy, Blanche Overith Yancey. And that stuck with me. It has stuck with me to this day. And I don't know why it stuck with me, but that book, I don't know if it traumatized me or what, but I that one was the first one that came to mind after I talked about the Babysitters Club and all these other things. The very first book was A Girl Called Boy. And y'all can check that out if you want to. But we'd like to thank you for spending some time with us today and telling us all about you and your boys. We were going to definitely pray for that teenager. But we are so happy, and I'm going to go on your website and I'm going to order. I think I'm going to do all of them. Just to support you because I really appreciate you taking that step out on faith and doing what you're called to do. And if we had more people stepping into their God-given roles, we could really change something and make something shake.
Yes.
So with that, we are going to give y'all the peace sign. We will check you out next week right here on Black versus the Board of Education. Peace.